Ken Wargadin, thanks so very much. From the SNY Sam McKee Memorial Broadcast set here at Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment, it's time for In the Sulky. I'm Dave Little, and I'm joined by Trish Adams, trader extraordinaire. Many live horses at the meeting. Trish, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm really excited to be here with you. And first of all, I want to congratulate you on the Communicators Hall of Fame, July 7th at Goshen.
Well, thanks very much for that.
Congratulations. That's terrific.
Talking to Roger Houston, have you been?
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you for that. That's very kind of you. Let's talk a little bit about a horse that you have who's red hot, and that is Backseat Terror. This horse came to town last week and was ferocious, winning on the front end.
She has been ferocious lately. That's 4 in a row for her. She broke her maiden here at the Meadowlands against the boys, and she's just been fabulous this year. Just can't say enough about her. She just has been putting in such a strong effort and giving us 110% every week. So we're very thrilled with her. She's beyond our expectations at this point.
Is she not in this week?
She did not get in this week. Her race did not fill, but hopefully we'll be in next week.
Okay, so we're going to look for Backseat Terror to extend that winning streak. Let's talk a little bit about your credentials. And first and foremost, Trish, it looks to me like you graduated from Penn State with a teaching degree. Is that right?
Yes. Graduated from high school, go to college, get a teaching degree, and decide, this racehorse thing might be something fun to do until I get a teaching job, and it turned out to be a fabulous thing to do, and definitely did not get the teaching job. So just focused on this business, racing my horses, and training for others now, and have a few other things I can do also. Associate judge's license and my clerk of course license. I worked yesterday at the Butler Fair in Pennsylvania. Clerk of course, we had 11 races yesterday, 12 today, and I do that throughout the summer when my schedule accommodates me, and it's just horse racing and everything horses. That's what life's been about.
So you mentioned the clerk of course license. What is the clerk of course? What is the function at a Butler Fair that you do?
The main function for the clerk of course will be to put everything in the computer system for the United States Trotting Association for record keeping. We will make sure we have the accurate driver, right, equipment, medications aren't allowed at the Pennsylvania fairs, like no Lasix on 3-year-olds, so we don't want to have that showing up. And then the race results and everything that you see on your charted line. When we have charted lines, all the responsibility of the clerk of course entering that correctly. Of course, then the judge's approval that we've entered everything correctly, but all that computer work that goes along with everything you see in your program.
All right, so clearly a resume that is varied in terms of teaching and also harness racing. So you chose a noble profession over another noble profession.
Yes, for sure. And it seems as if there's a lot of teachers that like racing horses, I think because of the summers off. So maybe that's why a lot of people do both. But for me, it just turned into just horse racing.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about what you've done step by step. And it started out, Katricia's chronology did, with your family. Your family had horses, but they weren't harness horses. They were actually draft horses and riding horses. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my family background is always with the draft horses, pulling horses. And then my sister and I both got into riding horses and showing horses. I've showed American quarter horses probably since I was a teenager, so that's definitely in my background. Like I said, everything horses. And then it was, get the teaching degree and then working, doing something fun, racing horses, and then it just turned into a career.
So then you ended up with the Mickey Burke stable, and then you met your husband, Patrick Della Vecchia, and now you are a tag team in the barn.
Absolutely, definitely a team in the barn. Couldn't do it without him, for sure. He's my right-hand man, definitely, and he's the hands of the stable, so to speak. He gets the call on driving, training, all that stuff at home, and I'm definitely managing the stable.
Well, my wife and I were in the same business for many years, the newspaper business, and we were at separate newspapers. I can't imagine being at the same paper. Does that create problems from time to time?
There's definitely times when it can be a bit of a challenge working with your spouse, and for the most part, though, it's good. There are just times when we need a little break from each other, which when I go work at the fairs, that's a perfect time to have a little break. And but for the most part, it works really well, because if I have an idea or he has an idea, we can bounce those things off of each other and hopefully come up with a great plan, what's best for the horse, and both of our ideas. So it's definitely a team effort. We're very hands-on with our horses. He and I doing the work, a lot of it ourselves.
All right, now the team effort has certainly paid off with a colt by the name of $50 Bill. We're going to take a look at a race from May the 10th where $50 Bill became the fastest trotter in harness racing at this point of the year. Tell me, he's coming first up here. He's going to grind down the leader, I should say. Did you expect this kind of mile?
You know what, we felt very strong at that point that yes, he was going to win this race. He's just a really nice horse to have in the barn, and he loves to look one in the eye and go on, just like he did right there in that race. He had a trip that he liked, and that was a really nice mile for him. We were really happy with him that night.
So tonight you're coming first up against Six Pack. It's certainly going to be a tough road to hoe, but your horse might prove up to it. Let's talk about some other horses in your barn. How about Max Volo, a horse who beat non-winners of 3,500 on May 31st.
Yes.
He beats non-winners of 9,000 a week later. Then he was in and over his head facing non-winners of 4. Why did you pick that spot?
Well, I think, sometimes if classes aren't going to fill or they're not going to get in, you want to put them in a class they're eligible for. But it turned out that night the non-winners of 4 just was a little tougher than he wanted. And plus, I think his post position wasn't a favorable post position, didn't quite get the trip he likes. So there's just times when they don't get the trip you want, or the competition, maybe it was stake competition. He might have had a lot of stake colts in there prepping for the next week. So he's a great horse, though. He sure tries, and he's a nice horse to be around. I love him.
All right, let's try one more before we get out. McThriller. He's a fan favorite. He was in the Golden Receiver Series facing Highlighter. That proved to be too tough for him. He's in race 10 tomorrow night at the non-winners at 25,000 level. How do you think he fits in with those?
Well, again, when you're racing the horses in those upper conditions, they're always tough races, tough competition. He definitely likes to get a trip on somebody's helmet and then let him go, and hopefully, we'll get that kind of trip with him. Again, really thrilled when we were able to get him bought in January for our owner, and he's just been also another great horse to have in the barn. I got so many horses I'm just so in love with. It's a great time right now.
Well, right now the Trish Adams barn is rolling real good. We're going to look for McThriller tomorrow. We're going to look for $50 Bill tonight. We're going to look for Max Volo tonight. Trish Adams, thanks so much for spending a few minutes.
Thanks, Dave. I had a great time.
Good luck to you for the rest of the meeting. Right now we're going to take a 60-second break. Trish is going to get to work.
Yes.
Gabe Pruitt's going to get to work. He's going to jump in that seat. We're going to give out this week's Driver and Trainer of the Week and also talk about tonight's featured action. Stay with us.